everyone and welcome to our channel. Today we are going to take you on a beautiful green island of Tenerife and show you all the coolest spots you can't miss, places with the most delicious food and must-do activities in the Canaries. We will also answer the questions on everyone's mind. Is it worth going to Tenerife in November? Tenerife is already the third of the Canary Islands we visited and we are about to head to another one, so make sure to subscribe to our channel to see our other travel videos and decide which of the Canary Islands you like the most, because each of them is completely different. Let's get started! Hello everyone! Today we are in Tenerife, an island of 4 seasons. If you're curious what Tenerife has to offer, what are the must-see attractions and where to eat the best food on the island, stay with us. We will show you wonderful beaches, amazing landscapes, green mountains and much more. But firstly I will show you our Airbnb, which is probably the best one we've ever stayed in. We stayed in a quiet village of Callao Salvaje in the south of the island. The apartment was a blast, it was really beautiful, clean and well equipped. There was also a swimming pool at our use, and besides that we had a pretty nice beach next to the apartment. Of course, as always, we will leave you the link to the apartment in the description below. It's important to note that where you stay on the island can make a huge difference in your experience. The south is much warmer and sunnier. It's a bit pricier and touristy, but you will get all the rays of sunshine you could ever want, even in November. The north is a bit cooler and more unpredictable, with more clouds and occasional rain, but it's also less crowded and more affordable.
On the first day we decided to go to Tenerife's top attraction, the village of Masca, deceptively similar to the famous Machu Picchu. But let's start at the beginning. The road in general is narrow, winding and somewhat challenging. Often you have to stop to pass each other because in some sections there is not enough space for 2 cars. When it comes to the rental car, as always we recommend the local company Seacar. They offer good prices, full insurance and you don't have to pay extra for the second driver. Back to the village itself. After a challenging drive we were faced with parking problems. There are maybe 30 parking spots in Masca and as you might guess there are hundreds of visitors. Therefore, the best time to go to Masca is early in the morning or in the afternoon. Avoid hours between 10 am and 2 pm, that's when it's really hard to get a spot. We of course also didn't manage to park on the first try. We drove an extra few kilometers up to a viewpoint called Mirador La Cruz de Hilda, which offered stunningly beautiful views, and most importantly we could finally turn around here. Fortunately, on the second try we managed to find a parking space. This trip can be a bit stressful, so we do not recommend it for inexperienced drivers. If you don't feel confident behind the wheel, it would be better to come here by bus. Anyway, we finally reached the village and it was definitely worth it. Surprisingly, until the 1970s it was only possible to get here on the back of a donkey. It's definitely one of the most beautiful locations we visited. The view of the canyon that begins here is breathtaking.
After exploring Masca, we headed straight to El Guanche restaurant. We got there right when they opened at noon and we were lucky to get the table with the most epic view. Within an hour there was already a huge line outside the restaurant, so if you are planning on checking out El Guanche, we definitely recommend coming here early. We ordered fried goat cheese with cinnamon sauce, croquettes with mushrooms, Canarian potatoes with mojo rojo and mojo verde sauce, and fried mushrooms. Everything was truly delicious. When in Masca, you must try the cactus juice. We were offered a cactus mojito, which was too good to pass up.
If you're up for a picturesque hike, you can explore the canyon of the same name with a trail that begins in the village of Masca. However, unlike most trails in other mountains, you'll need a free permit to enter. This is meant to limit the number of people heading into the canyon. Keep in mind that the entire hike takes at least 7 hours, so make sure you're prepared and have plenty of time set aside for the journey. At the end of the day, we stopped by Puerto de la Cruz for some delicious tapas at El Camino bar. We went for the tapas mix for 2 people and we were not disappointed. It was such a great choice. The mix didn't include the popular dishes we've had a million times before. Instead, we got to try some less known Canarian specialties like lentils with lamb and chorizo, delicious calamari, potatoes with raisins and cinnamon, seafood salad, snails, meatballs in gravy and a veggie salad. Everything was insanely tasty and we ended up paying only 22 euros. In the end, of course, we ordered a barraquito, the most delicious coffee drink that you absolutely must try when you are in the Canary Islands.
The following day we made our way to Las Teresitas beach, the most popular beach on the island. Before you set up camp for a day, we highly recommend checking out the viewpoint to see the beach from above. What makes this beach so special is the golden sand, which was actually brought in from Sahara. Interestingly, it was one of the few beaches with light-colored sands we saw during our week-long stay on the island. Typically, Tenerife is known for its black volcanic beaches. As for swimming in the ocean in late November, the water was actually quite pleasant. Of course, bear in mind that this is the ocean, so the water here is never super warm, even in the summer. In the end, we stopped by Flow Beach Club for a barraquito and it turned out to be the best one we had on the entire island.
We also visited a charming little town called San Andres, located right by the beach, and had a pretty nice lunch there at a little restaurant called Los Pinchitos, where we ate a plate of local appetizers, mostly seafood, although there was also room for croquettes, papas arrugadas and fried Canarian cheese. The food was tasty, so we can definitely recommend this restaurant to you for a quick lunch during a beach break. From Las Teresitas beach you can take the scenic TF12 road to the Anaga Mountains, and within 15 minutes the scenery has changed to lush tropical greenery. Speaking of the road, it's quite winding, but certainly much better than the one to Masca. We set our GPS to the village of Taganana, and in fact the road there is a highlight on its own. We stopped literally every few moments to take photos and videos. It's definitely one of the most scenic routes on the island.
The north of Tenerife is more tropical and green, but be prepared for unpredictable weather with occasional rain and less sunshine compared to the south of the island. However, here you will find beautiful green mountains, picturesque landscapes, lush vegetation, forests and black beaches. If you are a fan of sun, beach parties and water sports, head to the south of the island where you will find warmer weather, palm trees, cactuses and banana plantations. However, keep in mind that the south can be quite crowded, touristy and expensive compared to the north.
Coming back to our route, after a while we finally saw the village. Taganana is one of the first settlements established on Tenerife, and for a long time it was cut off from the rest of the island, until in 1968 the village could only be accessed on foot or by sea. Then we headed towards the Cruz de Benijo, but on the way we made another stop for lunch, this time at a restaurant called La Ola. We decided to eat some fresh seafood and that was a good decision. After the meal, the obligatory barraquito.
Then we made our way to Playa de Benijo, which is known to be one of the most stunning beaches in Tenerife. It's a black volcanic beach with huge waves and strong wind. The scenery is something out of this world, especially during sunset when the light is truly breathtaking. It's not a popular beach among tourists, and in the off-season you might even have it all to yourself. It is also said to be a nudist beach, but we didn't notice that to be the case. What we did notice, however, was a lot of plastic washed up by the ocean.
The next stop in the Anaga Mountains is the Sendero de los Sentidos, or the Path of the Senses. The road leading to it is again very scenic. It's worth stopping at one of the viewpoints from which you will see green hills as if they were a Windows XP wallpaper. It's a bit dark and gloomy here, but these climate changes are fantastic. That's what we love Tenerife for. Sendero de los Sentidos is a mountain trail that goes through ancient laurel forests. There are basically 3 short paths of different lengths. The first is 300 meters, the second is 500 meters, and the third is 1200 meters. None of them are very demanding, it's just worth taking warmer clothes, as it's quite cold and damp here. We took sweaters and jackets and still felt a bit cold. It is also worth mentioning the most Instagrammable place in Tenerife. It's the pink Ritz-Carlton Hotel. For the sunset, it's best to go to the western part of the island, the Los Gigantes cliffs, which reach up to 600 meters high. Across the strait you can also see another island, La Gomera. We must admit that the sunset felt truly magical.
The south of the island, namely Costa Adeje, was not quite what we were looking for. It was too touristy, overpriced, with nothing but huge hotels and crowded beaches, plus significant parking issues. The area around Playa Las Americas was probably the worst, a touristy hell, and the beach was the worst one we had a chance to visit during our trip. However, we understand why people come here. The south of the island charmed us with its warm climate. The weather was just perfect, lots of sunshine and more than 20 degrees Celsius in the shade.
However, if you decide to spend some time in Costa Adeje, we can recommend a restaurant called Taberna Iruña, where we ate quite tasty tapas. We also didn't skip the barraquito.
There are also 2 towns that we liked in the south. The first is La Caleta, a very cozy, charming little town overlooking the ocean. It's very quiet and relaxed with laid-back atmosphere. In La Caleta you will find a lot of restaurants right by the ocean where people bask in the sun, eat tapas and sip on a glass of wine. Our second favorite town in the south was the place where we stayed, Callao Salvaje. We were fortunate to have a fantastic apartment with a breathtaking view and a cozy beach just 30 meters away, which made our stay even more enjoyable. Additionally, there were many restaurants nearby that served excellent food. We highly recommend El Ancla restaurant, which offers delicious fish, seafood and traditional Canarian dishes.
We also visited Playa del Duque. The town itself was very elegant, pretty and well kept. There are many luxury brand stores there. Unfortunately, this luxury also manifests itself in the prices of food in restaurants. They are very high. Lunch in an ordinary tavern by the promenade costs almost as much as a dinner in one of the restaurants at the Ritz-Carlton hotel, which we mentioned earlier. The beach, although very nice and picturesquely located, is quite crowded for Canarian standards. Of course, we can't forget to mention the island's capital, Santa Cruz de Tenerife. However, we share the opinion of many people that the city lacks something. It was a bit lifeless and we expected something better. We have comparison with Las Palmas in Gran Canaria and unfortunately Santa Cruz falls a bit short in this respect. Nevertheless, we wandered around the city streets a bit.
While in Santa Cruz, it's a good idea to visit the García Sanabria Park. It's a very interesting spot full of monuments, fountains and shaded corners. In the park you will find a lot of beautiful vegetation, especially palm trees and cactuses. Interestingly, there is also an aromatic garden here, which is a place where plants that we know as spices are grown. Here you can smell not only marjoram and oregano, but for example the curry plant.
We had a lunch at a nice restaurant called La Montería. In particular, we enjoyed a delicious tuna dish. Other local specialities like fried cheese and canary potatoes were also very good. We really like the town of La Orotava, located in the north. By the way, many people consider it the most beautiful city on the island, with its vibe somewhat resembling Latin American countries. La Orotava is also known by another name, the City of Flowers. For good reason, there are beautiful urban gardens here, which highlight the charm of colonial-era architecture. The Victoria Gardens are especially worth a visit, offering a stunning panoramic view of the city. While in this area you can't miss the oldest dragon tree located in the town of Icod de los Vinos. This characteristic Tenerife plant and the surrounding garden are the most important tourist attractions in this village, which itself is quite charming and has retained its authentic atmosphere. You can also taste a banana liqueur made from the fruit grown on nearby plantations.
If you have already researched things to do in Tenerife, you have probably come across Loro Park and Siam Park, both of which are owned by the same individual. However, due to concerns about the welfare of the orcas and dolphins held in captivity, we decided to skip these attractions. If you have visited these parks, we would love to hear about your experience in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed our vlog from Tenerife, and if so, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos from the other 3 Canary Islands and many amazing destinations.